You ever have this huge $1,000 electric bill just pop up out of nowhere and stand there in your kitchen, bare feet, old flannel robe, wondering if you somehow started mining Bitcoin while you were sleeping? That was me gaping at this bill like it just insulted my mother, wondering if I'd left the heater on for a month. Or perhaps the water heater was having an affair with itself as a raccoon hot tub. But the reality, it was far dumber and far more personal. A gold-trimmed golf cart, and Beverly had only been retired for a year when this transpired. Figured I'd worked hard enough to earn my peaceful niche at the end of a cul-de-sac in Cedar Hollow. Paid cash for my home. Did the entire retiree starter kit solar top the roof. Smart meters outfitted the shed in the backyard. My electric consumption was cleaner than a preacher's search history. Which is why that huge spike on my bill didn't feel so much like a glitch and more like someone had taken over my life. And the truth is, that's precisely what occurred. Beverly, HOA president of Ridgewood Estates, swooped over the day I arrived, grasping a welcome package thick enough to knock a moose unconscious. 14 pages of what amounted to don't do something I wouldn't do. And I wasn't going to do much. No more than 3 inches of grass. No unauthorized flags. Trash cans in by 5 p.m. on the dot. And my favorite, personally, no unapproved alterations to outdoor facilities, whatever in the world that was meant to be. I did my best to be friendly, smile, nod, tell her I'd read the packet, so she should leave me alone, but she wouldn't. 2 weeks and I had 3 write-ups. One for my trim on my garage being eggshell, not cloud white. Then for keeping my trash cans outside 40 minutes longer than I was supposed to. And lastly, get this, for humming Sweet Home Alabama too long cutting the grass. That one wasn't even listed in the rule book. She just did not like my sense of music. I guess still I was a loner until that bill arrived. Now I know my system. I monitor everything. My highest draw barely kisses 4 quad-hours per hour. But the bill indicated I used 3 times that. Like I'd opened up a hot yoga studio in my attic and begun offering memberships. So I did what any retired systems engineer would do, began digging in the smart meter logs. That's when I noticed it huge spikes between 200 and 4 a.m. nightly, all traced to my shed, which I hadn't visited for weeks. First I thought, had a squirrel gotten used to operating power tools? But then I recalled putting a security camera in the shed, paranoid habits, from 26 years of being a defense contractor. So, I reviewed the footage, and who do I see bright as day? Beverly in her robe slippers, hair in curlers, shuffling into my yard at 2:13 a.m. like she was on a secret assignment for the homeowners association. She opens my shed, yanks out a 50-foot extension cord, plugs it in my outdoor outlet, and then into her own golf cart. Not any golf cart. Pearl white gold trim leather seats and a vanity plate to one. Of course, she even went so far as to remark aloud, "Free power is the best power." Then trundled home, the very picture of smugness. Next morning, found her outside hosing down her roses with a hose that cost more than my whole tool shed. Walked up and said, "Morning, Beverly. Good time had last night." Squinted at me like I was a stranger. "Light shed around 2, I explained. "Camera recorded some person in your same bathrobe plugging into my outlet. Ring a bell." She didn't bat an eye. "That isn't your outlet. That's community access. HOA Resolution 7.4. She even raised her chin as if she were queen of the burbs. Perhaps if you were not so tight-fisted with electricity, people would not have to get innovative. I almost lost my cool, but what I did was smile and say, "Got it. Thanks for making that clear." An hour later, I receive an email from the HOA. Subject line: harassment complaint. Apparently, having a confrontation with Beverly for stealing is a threatening act. They told me that I couldn't speak to her anymore unless there was a board member present. You know what I'm saying. Classic power move: accused before you're accused. But here's where Beverly miscalculated. I may be quiet. I may like my privacy, but I spent 2 decades designing surveillance systems for the government. I know a thing or two about creative solutions. That night I got to work. Hooked up a custom smart timer using a Raspberry Pi relay switch, a counterfeit voltage tester, and a small kill circuit. 3 seconds after anyone connects, it shuts off the power and won't restart for 2 hours. From the outside, everything seemed fine, LED light on charger whirring so Beverly could plug in, see the lights leave. And 3 seconds later, her golf cart's charging dead stopped. Sure enough, 2:17 a.m. There she is sneaking out to my shed, plugging in as if it were her garage. I sit in my bedroom window, chewing on my lip to keep from giggling. Next morning, I'm having coffee on my porch when she attempts to start the cart. Nothing. Grimaces. Tempts again. Still dead. She storms back inside and pulls out a handyman. The poor fellow uses a voltmeter to check the outlet. Puts a drill in the outlet. Works great. Cart still not working. I could see Beverly's fury from halfway across the yard. She persisted. Night after night, same thing. Charging light will light on and off cart. Dead in the morning. By day 4, she had enlisted Carl, the HOA board's resident utility inspector. Carl appears in a tweed blazer with elbow patches and a Bluetooth headset, grumbling about irregular discharge fluctuations. Beverly's flailing her clipboard like the Declaration of Independence, pointing at my house with the indignation of a Disney bad guy. Another email appears in my inbox that afternoon, meddling with common utilities. Apparently, I was blocking necessary charging infrastructure, and now they're threatening to charge me a $75 per day fine unless I get rid of unauthorized circuitry. I laughed so hard I almost spilled my coffee. Then I sent the whole email chain along with the security footage to my old college friend, Trent. He's a lawyer who enjoys nothing more than HOA drama. He rang me back 10 minutes later and told me, "Man, you've got the petty HOA version of a Bond villain on your hands. You got to go full Emperor Palpatine." So I upgraded the rig, put a remote control on the timer, let me kill the power from my phone. Good, I rigged the charging indicator on the cart with a small pulse relay so that it appeared to be charging for hours but was drawing 0 amps. By the time Beverly figured out what I had done, it was too late. Her cart would get halfway down the block and shut off in the middle of the street. I see her having to push it home in flip-flops, cursing to herself. She pulled another fuzzy picture of her extension cord into the board meeting one day, screaming, "Voltage drop half." The room erupted in laughter. Someone murmured, "That's just a sad cord." Beverly was not finished. The true surprise. 2 weeks later, I found her standing outside at 2:30 a.m., gloves on, flashlight in her mouth, squatting beside my shed with bolt cutters. She attempted to sabotage my panel issue. Was it a decoy I'd installed months before as part of a renovation? She snipped the wire. There was a small spark, but it didn't cut power to anything, but it did set off a hidden camera. Next morning, I printed out the images and took them to Trent. By noon, Beverly had a restraining order plastered on her door. 2 days later, the HOA was fully audited. It turns out Beverly had been making up rules and charging fake fines for years. A neighbor got slapped with $50 for a garden gnome, another for having lawn chairs out in front. The board ejected her in a landslide, issued refunds for many of the fines, and even voted in a new rule unironically titled the Beverly Clause, allowing us to recall any board member with a simple majority vote. Now Beverly's snazzy golf cart still parked in her driveway, flat tires, dust covering it, spiderwebs on the bumper. Her lawn resembles a Jumanji scene. Occasionally I catch kids challenging one another to whack it with a weed eater. Nobody else touches it otherwise. And as for me, they asked me to assist them in rewriting the bylaws. Even showed Carl how to use Google Sheets. He still double-clicks as if he believes he will shatter the entire internet. Occasionally, I walk by my old shed, look at the outlet and just chuckle. Still wired in case. There's a small sign these days. Charging station 3 seconds of justice. Let me ask you, if you were being robbed night after night and escaping the consequences because they wrote the rules, what would you do? Would you play according to their rules or would you rewrite the circuit? I want to hear your stories. Ever had a Beverly-type neighbor or worked with an HOA that had gone rogue? Leave a comment. Tell me, where is the line drawn between justice and vengeance? And does 3 seconds of electricity sometimes short out an empire?